Marley taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. A ban on face coverings in Denmark will affect 200 women there who wear the veil. So why have they done it? Anger gets an answer. The South African president says he'll hold a summit into violence against women. Instagram might love these sunflowers, but the Canadian farmer who grows them isn't happy about it. And why are koalas in one part of Australia literally starving to death? On top of our newsfeed, the hashtag Stop the Niqab ban. That's after a new law came into effect in Denmark yesterday, banning people from wearing anything that covers their face while in public. Now, politicians there have explicitly said the law is a move against what they term political Islam. Now, it may only affect a tiny number of people in the country, but plenty more are not happy about it. On the 1st of August, full-face coverings, including niqabs and burqas, became illegal in Denmark. But the ban was met with protests. More than 1,000 people, Muslim and non-Muslim, rallied in Copenhagen on the first day of the new law.
I really hate this law. I think it's so embarrassing, and I cannot stand being a citizen in this so-called democracy with this kind of law.
It makes me sad. It's a discriminating law. It's an absurd law. It's a law that doesn't make sense in practice. It's a law that doesn't make sense juridically.
But Danish lawmakers are defending the move.
Well, we want to take a stand against political Islam, against the fundamentalists in our society. We have some people who believe that they're in their good right to wear a headscarf that covers all of the face, so we're not able to see their face, the authorities are not able to see their face, and this is what we want to take a stand against.
Denmark is just the latest European country to ban full face veils after France, Germany, Austria and Belgium. Women who choose to cover their faces for religious reasons say they experience violence and discrimination every day.
Even before the ban, but also like after. We have had people spit on us. We have multiple of niqab wearing women have their niqabs ripped off their faces. So we are victims of a lot of hate crime.
There are only about 200 Muslim women in Denmark who wear the full face veil. They represent just 0.1% of the country's Muslim population. And not everyone in Danish politics agrees with the new law.
So I think it's really dangerous step to take that the majority in the parliament has done with this law, because what is next? What is coming next? What is after this?
So is the niqab a real problem? Or is this just another way to control people's freedom? Let's take a look at what else has been trending on social media.
They don't. Mr. President, they're not even close. You have got to fix this. We are tired. I've been raped 3 times.
South Africa's president has promised a summit that will look at violence against women after being confronted by protesters in Durban. Women around the country have been taking part in marches and documenting their fight on Twitter under the hashtag #TotalShutdown. Now, the rate of women being killed in South Africa is 5 times more than the rest of the world. Fan Bingbing is a Chinese superstar, and she hasn't posted anything to her 62 million followers since the beginning of June. Now, people online are speculating that she's disappeared from social media because she's being investigated for alleged tax avoidance. Fan Bingbing played the character Blink in the 2014 X-Men film Days of Future Past. This is what happened when a pizza delivery guy noticed a piano in a customer's house and asked to play it. His name is Bryce, he's only just graduated from high school, and he apparently taught himself how to do that. Now, the video has been watched nearly 1 million times since it was posted on Facebook a few days ago, and in case you're wondering, we think he's playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. And oh, the shame. For some reason, this kid there sitting next to the woman dancing is not cool with the major moves being dropped by the lady next to him, who we think is his mum. And thanks to social media, hundreds of thousands more are able to see his mortification. Well, this all happened at Petco Park in San Diego during a Padres game. Looks like his dad is getting in on the humiliation too. Now, many parts of the world are experiencing really hot weather. It is a total scorcher here in Istanbul, and it's been like this for weeks. But over in South Korea, the temperatures are way beyond what's comfortable for the summer. People are dying because of the heat, and the records are being broken. Well, our mate Ollie is sweating it out in Seoul.
Welcome to a very hot, very humid, and as you can probably tell by the sweat on my forehead, a very sticky South Korea, where the all-time temperature record has just been broken. 40.3 degrees Celsius was recorded in one part of the country on Wednesday, marking the hottest day here since records began. At least 28 people have died so far this year. Another 2,200 people have required medical attention for heat-related disorders. It's even forced the government to activate an emergency messaging app to keep people informed on how to stay safe during this extended heat wave. But others are going online to social media to share their tips and tricks on how to stay cool. So let's start off with this baseball spectator who brings a whole new meaning to the word superfan by bringing a full-size and what we believe is battery-powered fan to the game with him so he can try and be a little bit more comfortable. Now, an expat down in the south of the country who says he doesn't have any air conditioning has also had to make some alterations to his fan. He's attached 2 water bottles to the back of the machine, drilled some holes through, and what he does is he puts ice inside the bottles, and as that fan circulates the air, it picks up some nice cool and moist air to make a more pleasant environment. Commuters in some of Seoul's train stations have been warned not to sit down on the plastic seats because the paint is melting and it could ruin their clothes. And just take a look at this lady who was crossing the road the other day. Her t-shirt says, "Do not bump into me, I am too hot." Now, the hot and balmy weather that we're experiencing here is by no means unique to this part of the world. It seems like major parts of the globe are going through a very hot spell at the minute. And if you've got any tips on how to stay cool, please let us know. If you're watching on Facebook, please let us know on the comments below. As for me, that water is all too tempting, so let's go. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, TRT World, Seoul.
All right, to the Democratic Republic of Congo now, where Jean-Pierre Bemba has returned after 11 years in Europe, 10 of which he spent at The Hague after the International Criminal Court convicted him of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Now, he was welcomed by supporters after arriving from Belgium yesterday. Bemba once led a rebel group called the Movement for the Liberation of Congo, and in 2016, the ICC sentenced him to 18 years in jail. But after an appeal, that conviction was overturned in June of this year. Now he's back, and he says he plans to run for president. The country's current leader, Joseph Kabila, has been clinging to power for the last 2 years after his term in office ended. Now, the DRC is poverty-stricken and a political basket case. But it really didn't have to be like this. It's a country that is rich in resources, but decades and decades of weak governance have made it what it is today. And the failures can be traced to the age of empire.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has diamonds, coal, uranium, cobalt, rubber and coltan. Yet this year's UN Human Development Index placed the Democratic Republic of Congo at the bottom of a list of 184 countries. So why isn't it one of the richest in the world? Its early modern history was in violent Belgian hands. King Leopold II ran it as his personal brutal fiefdom from 1885 to 1908. People were tortured, maimed and raped, and the population was halved. Up to 10 million Africans lost their lives, and Leopold extracted more than $1 billion profit through these atrocities. Even after the Belgian state took over from Leopold, the Congolese continued to suffer. More and more of their resources were exported for the profit of Belgium. Then came Patrice Lumumba. Lumumba advocated for state ownership of resources and refused to praise the Belgian government. He helped achieve independence for Congo and could have been its first real leader. But decades of colonialism left the country vulnerable to outside interference, especially during the Cold War, when its minerals were a strategic resource. Lumumba was assassinated in a CIA-aided plot and replaced by Mobutu Sese Seko, a corrupt and authoritarian dictator. The Congo became Zaire and plunged into huge debt. Mobutu robbed the national treasury and pocketed foreign aid. By 1990, Zaire's debt had gone from relatively insignificant to over $10 billion. When Mobutu was overthrown, partly as a consequence of the civil war and genocide in neighbouring Rwanda, he was replaced by Laurent Kabila, who was backed by a loose alliance of rebels. But the violence which brought Kabila to power continued under his rule. And things didn't change much after he was assassinated and his son Joseph came to power in 2001. Many of the Democratic Republic of Congo's assets had been privatised, with no compensation or benefit for the state treasury. The little infrastructure that the Democratic Republic of Congo had was used to bring minerals from the privatised resource-rich mines to the ports or borders for extraction. If the Democratic Republic of Congo had had the chance to use its huge resources for its own benefit, could its narrative have been very different?
All right, it's time to take you around the world for some other stories you need to know this Thursday. Now, 3 people have been killed in Zimbabwe after protesters there said that the election is a fraud. They're upset that the ruling ZANU-PF party seem to have won the parliamentary vote. They've got a majority in parliament. Now, the winner of the presidential vote is still yet to be announced. The United Nations and the European Union, as well as other nations around the world, are calling for the full results to be announced as soon as possible. After leaving China 8 years ago because of government censorship, Google is now reportedly trying to launch a new search engine there which complies with the country's strict censorship requirements. The new software will be called Dragonfly and will blacklist sensitive searches about human rights and religion, for example. Now, Google has so far refused to comment on the reports, and the Chinese government is denying anything about it too. Now, this brawl delayed flights at Orly Airport near Paris. It was between 2 of France's biggest rappers and their entourages. The rappers Booba and Karis have both been arrested, along with 11 other people. Now, it's not clear why the fight broke out in the first place, but it is reported that the 2 men have had a beef for years. And these are nice pictures, right? Well, the farmer who owns the field where they were taken has a less than sunny disposition about them. When his sunflower field started blooming, he thought he'd make a few extra bucks by allowing people to come and take photos. But now he says he's full of regrets after hordes of selfie hunters trampled his crops. The cops had to be called to help deal with the huge numbers of people flicking up for the ground. Now, the threat of bushfires in Australia is putting a group of the nation's native marsupials at threat of not having enough to eat. Denis, there's the story.
Koalas are super cute, and they only live in one place, Australia. They're cuddly, playful, and did I mention how cute they are? So cute, celebrities love taking pictures with them when they come visit Down Under. But this is not that story. Koalas in one part of Australia are starving to death.
In the last few weeks, there's been almost koalas coming in every day, and I don't have any survivors. They've all died.
The herbivorous marsupials live almost entirely off eucalyptus leaves. But eucalyptus trees are a fire hazard in Australia's hot, dry summer. Raymond Island, 300 kilometres east of Melbourne, is home to around 250 koalas and about 400 people. Residents there are having to cut down eucalyptus trees because of bushfire prevention laws. And that means the koalas are losing their habitat and their main food source.
What can happen on island populations where the population is increasing and there's nowhere for the animals to disperse, we can see that they start to basically eat themselves out of house and home.
Koalas are listed as a vulnerable species with fewer than 90,000 left in the wild.
And that is your lot from the Newsfeed team. Reach out to us with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add, and I will see you again soon.